Let's start to talk about the Galaxy GameDev. The session is about the part two of our GDC sponsor session, the same name, the Bring Maximum Boost to Mobile Games. And myself will cover mostly the short introduction and what we've done before during that several years until now. And Richard, my colleague from the UK office, he will cover the list of things, including some key updates for our activities. And Seunghwan will share about more that real developer partner practices. I'm Jungwoo Kim from Samsung Mobile. I'm in charge of taking care of that any kind of GPU things that are like the strategy, roadmap feature, and also game developers related with graphics, and also the contribution for the current group, mostly about the Vulkan and GLES, EGL things. So Samsung making end user product like phone and so on, but we don't just making the cool design product, but also we try to always deliver the good user experiences to our customers' hand. That there's a bunch of that Samsung Galaxy feature like S Pen, Bixby, and also fast browsing, and a great camera, AR, and so on. But we really want to focus on this session about the gaming experiences. So the gaming experiences are kind of one of the hard to achieve experiences, and also there's some limitation in hardware and software to pushing the cutting boundary of that. And in considering of the AP chipset, that most of things are fundamentally the cutting up by that capability of the AP chipset. Why this coming? Because that is a form factor differences with the console and PC than mobile. So that limitation is really huge, is more than you expect, at a 10 times silicon area, and also the 20 times the power budget, and also the 5 times memory bandwidth. Even than that, the mobile is really try to do getting better. And we chasing a lot on the console. The further generation, PlayStation 3, was the cut by the S8, and we are also keep chasing to reach to the PlayStation 4, the current generation console. But that is the peak GPU performance. But the peak GPU performance is not something we sustainably supply to the user device playing during the game. So the sustainable performance is much less than that. Because of that, the optimization is really important in mobile gaming, and not shrinking down the quality, but also the breakthrough, the fundamental limitation of that, the devices and software. The new technology bringing in is really important, like a Vulkan 64-bit and multi-core, multi-thread rendering. So what Samsung is now trying to do, and even we started that 4 years ago, is delivering the good way of support the game developer to not using their own time and effort, but we help them to bring more easy way to use that new technology to optimize their game, better performing on any tier of the mobile devices. That is the Galaxy GameDev, the Samsung's game developer support program. I want to recap that what we've done under that Galaxy GameDev program from 2014 to now. We contribute a lot on the Cronus. We support and effort a lot on the Vulkan 1.0 standard publishing. That was the trigger from the 2014, but finally in a couple of years taking, and then the publishing is happening in 2016 February. And also we co-working with ARM and Qualcomm to deliver that Vulkan 1.0 driver. And also we work together with the Epic Games to deliver UE4 support, Vulkan RHI. And on top of that, we jointly developing the Protoss, a really cool Vulkan demo, and we made an announcement in S7 Unpack event as a first Vulkan phone, and also at the same time they do the showcase on stage, the Protoss demo, by the Tim Sweeney, CEO of Epic Games. We also announced that a Galaxy GameDev program in the 2016 SDC. And we started contributing the Android gaming ecosystem with a tool developer like Landerdog and also the game engine companies like Epic Games, Unity, and Crytek, and Amazon. And we decided this is not enough, so we started to support the game developer for market game optimization. And mostly we focusing on Vulkan and rendering optimization for their games. There's a bunch of games updated in the market and also newly launching will support Vulkan. And also we continue to releasing the new Vulkan devices and also updating the old devices to support Vulkan better and better. It's not only the primitive devices, but also mid-tier and also low-tier devices, including an A series. We also try to bring more feature and technology like adaptive performance on top of given other things like Vulkan. And we try to share all that experiences and knowledge we run from collaborating with our game developer partners. So we did many bunch of activities during the recent years, but we tried to do more than that. So we want to updating about what is now happening for preparing the future under the GameDev. So we feel that game optimization in mobile, there's 4 key areas: the GPU driver, the game engine, and tool, and developer support. But these 4 key areas, most of the mobile game developers complaining about all the things. In the case of the GPU driver, they're always complaining about the poor quality of the driver software. And also the game engine is not well optimized for Android targeting. And also the tool, there's not many good tools for performance profiling analysis. At the same time, it is so tricky to setting up the tool itself, a Rudy device on. And there's no mobile vendors or OEM support the game developer in technical way. Let's talk first about the GPU driver poor quality issues. The GPU driver, most of the recent game developers coming from the console and PC area to the mobile, they really have negative voices about the current mobile GPU driver quality is bad. Because most of the cases, the editor is running on a PC, and the preview and all the behavior they validating on the PC editor is working well with the PC GPU, and then they try to make an Android build, but that is not running properly on mobile devices. So the compatibility and also corner exceptional coverage, and also the feature and behavior properly feeding into the spec, so all the aspect that mobile GPU driver has some weakness than the PC and console, the GPU driver level. So, and even than that, we try to always get Samsung is really keep to chasing the improving the quality and also optimizing the GPU driver software under collaboration with ARM and Qualcomm like the GPU vendor in mobile. But even we found some good optimization or the hot fixes, but it's really hard to deliver that to the end user devices by OTA taking some months or a year. And even we release that by OTA, not all users are updating the devices by the OTA because there are some negative intention that updating will not give a good result always. So we collaborating with Google to bring updatable GPU packages that's installation Play Store, that APK, including the GPU driver, distributed by that store, and then installation that APK is replacing the GPU driver by update. So that mechanism is already shipped from the S8. The problem is the validation cost is so heavy, so delivering the store update, the GPU driver is never happened yet. Even we had a feature on the device, we never used that before. So avoiding that huge cost of the validation of the driver, we decided to deliver the opt-in way. So that is the game driver. We deliver the game driver, GPU driver, the installation update by store, including the whitelist, the targeting certain major game. Then we can also adding the pre-release channel, the GPU vendor interaction between the game developers to validating the targeted game title. So that is validation within the pre-release channel, then we shoot out the game driver by store to the end user in a couple days. This game driver project is a really longer term project, and we hope to make the more frequent and quick updating the GPU driver and improving the quality is coming soon. And Note 10 is now shipped with the game driver feature, and more Galaxy devices will support that from Android Q upgrade. So that is the story about the GPU driver. We believe that the game driver will be the first try at really good start to solution for improving the poor quality of the GPU driver in mobile. And I hope I introduce my colleague Richard will talk about the last of the 3 areas.
Thank you, Jungwoo. If I'm in the audience and applaud, can I win a Note 10 Plus? Yay! Okay, so Jungwoo's taken us through the first of the quadrants. Here we go. I am Richard Huddy. I work in the Samsung Research UK office, responsible for the team there who supports games developers in the same way as the rest of the teams across the world. We also do a substantial amount of work with standards. Some of us are known to you for that reason. Let's go around the rest of the boxes. Game engines. The complaint is that they're not well optimized. And to be fair, in the early days on mobile devices, that's a pretty fair complaint, particularly when you take those engines which are fundamentally designed for the high end, trying to optimize them for mobile, bring them down from, say, console or PC onto mobile is a huge challenge. There's a big technical gap between the 2 platforms. Typically, we've had OpenGLES until Samsung introduced Vulkan. There's such a big difference in the platforms, and specifically, it means that we really have to push hard to get game-specific optimizations into those engines. And we do that in a couple of ways. We work very directly with the engine vendors to encourage them to adopt them. But in the case of Epic, one of the best engagements that we've had, I think, over our years, what we did was we engaged super close on Fortnite. Some of you may know that we bundled that as a time-limited exclusive on the Note 9 at launch. And the primary benefit, I think, for us was making sure that all of the optimizations that we could see found their way into the Unreal Engine. That's a way of bringing the benefit to everyone else who's going to use Unreal thereafter. And it's been, I think, a significant game changer. We've made a really big difference to the baseline performance of the Vulkan implementation. That's where our care and attention is, pushing hard on that kind of edge. So I think we've had a lot of impact with the Unreal Engine through Fortnite. In the meantime, as Jungwoo mentioned, we've picked up the pace quite a lot over this last year or so with Unity. They announced at GDC this year that they were putting in adaptive performance, and it is Unity's adaptive performance. We've worked super close with them. We've helped them to write every line of code, but it's theirs, and it's just part of the Unity engine. It's available to anyone who wants to pick up these recent builds and work with that. That's a great place to be. So we're changing the landscape, really addressing the problem of engines. The focus is on the universal render pipeline rather than trying to go for the extreme hard settings at the moment, but we'll get to that in time as well. So lots of Vulkan optimizations, a really tuned engine that's available for you now. If you're using an older version of Unity, you could do better by moving up, and it depends on the kind of target that you're trying to hit with your game. But you can do really well with these latest versions of the engines. So Vulkan adaptive performance, that's really nice. And then the complaint pretty fair complaint a couple of years ago. There are simply no good performance tools. It's really hard. First of all, getting any tool to work is problematic, and secondly, when the tools do work, they don't usually tell you very much. So what we did was we concentrated on the tool that is probably the single most commonly used tool in development these days, RenderDoc. We were in 2018, I believe, the single largest contributor to RenderDoc behind only Balder Carlson, who's the author. That's ahead of all of the other vendors that you might expect to be driving this platform. We're doing everything we can to make sure you have the tools to deliver the content that you want to deliver. And we've made a big difference. It's a highly stable tool. The guys in my team use it all the time. We report any issues that we do find to Balder, and he's super responsive. Really good support that we get from them. So lovely tool. Strongly recommend you use it. If you're developing on Android, you should have a look at how your app behaves with RenderDoc. Even if you think your performance is solid, if you think your behavior is great, take a look and just make sure that things are behaving the way you thought they were by looking underneath the hood. Okay, along with that industry standard tool, we've also done what we can to expose the local details of our phones. So there is on the Note 10 at the moment, in fact from S10 upwards, there is GPU Watch. It's a developer tool that comes out looking like this. I'll go through the individual parts of it. Up at the top left, you have a frames per second counter and an average frames per second, so you can see what we're hitting right at the moment and what it is over the last 100 seconds. That's quite handy if you think you're seeing performance hitches and you're not quite sure what was causing it. At the top right, you have a CPU usage and GPU usage graph. It'll even tell you when the clock speeds are going up or down according to the kind of performance demands, the power demands of the platform. So you can see that things are being triggered. You can see the devices being pushed hard or that you're relaxing a little bit. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about it, but if you learn more about the app, odds are there are things you can do about it. Down at the bottom left, you've got the full screen grab so that you can see what it was like before we imposed the HUD upon it. You can see the frame number and how many milliseconds it took to generate. So if you are at the stage where you really want to analyze a single frame, we can give you all of that information. And along the bottom line of GPU Watch, you've got these two kind of hills of activity, the vertex activity and the fragment activity. Everyone who's a GPU programmer knows exactly what those are. If you want to put up your hand and tell me you don't know what they are, you can then leave the room. Don't leave. GPU Watch, straightforward to enable. It's on the platform, like I say, and if you don't just want it on, say, the S10 and above, that's okay. Wait until the next Android update, and we're pushing it out on all Galaxy devices. So it's really going to become seriously available for you. If we could push it onto our competitors' phones, we'd do that as well. That's how good we are. Very straightforward to use. If you can remember how to enable the developer options, and sometimes I'll need a little bit of educating on that. But once you've done that, very straightforward, easy user interface. You tell it the API you want to profile, tell it the app, and away you go. It does all the capture for you and overlays itself. Not only do we ship it, but like I said, late this year on Android Q, all of the Galaxy devices will be updated with GPU Watch, and we have a roadmap for new features as well. So this is not just a tool that you should use now. You absolutely should invest in it because it becomes more valuable to you as you use it into the future. And we've got a roadmap of the next year's work on that that's public, and we have plans for what's not public as well. So GPU Watch, I think that's a really cool answer on the tools. Next bit, there used to be complaints that there was no mobile developer support. You basically had Android Studio, and you just did the work on your own and hoped that you could figure it out. And if you were programming OpenGL-ES, maybe you could. It was a reasonable kind of environment in which to do work. Even without tools, people could do this kind of blindfold work. However, there is now, as Jungwoo said, since 2016, the Galaxy GameDev team, which I'm proud to be a part of. It's a lively, energetic, young group. I call them young, but let's not go on about age, shall we? Somebody laughing at my joke about my age. It's extremely condescending. However, that may give you extra chance of winning a Note 10 Plus. We're scattered around the world. We're here over in the USA at the moment, which is where one of the groups is. I'm from the UK. We have staff who are here at SDC from the Ukraine. We've got one of the guys from China here too, and the HQ team centered in Korea. That does not mean that's the only place where you get support. If you're in any of the places around the world, we will travel to you as required. So although we're located in those places, and that suggests that we can do work without being really heavily punished by time zones, truth is we're willing to go where where we need to go to get things done. Here's that young, lively, exciting team. I'm not in this photograph. I must ask Jungwoo to update it for next time we use it. But I'm hoping to be in the photograph next time round. The things that we do, game engine optimization. So not only have we worked very directly with the engine vendors to optimize the engines, but there are times when you can't do generic optimizations. You really need to get in and lean into the code and do game-specific optimization. So we have quite a lot of those available. We've got a good track record of building them up, and if you happen to be using the engine, particularly on a title that you think we're going to care about a lot, we may deliver a custom version of that engine for you, different versions of different engines. So lots and lots of support there. We have a device loaner program for everyone who's not lucky enough to win the Note 10 Plus today. And that means that we can cover various different devices. We can go up and down the kind of range of devices if you need it for development or for QA. We can do workload profiling. So it's definitely the case that we are amongst the best experts in the world in using the tools for profiling on these platforms. So if you come to us, we can often do a profile, give you information about what's going right and what's going wrong in the app, give you advice on what to change. That kind of advice really quite often makes differences of 20, 40, 50% improvements in performance just from written reports because we know what we're doing in there. Developer education, we're more than happy to go out and give talks about things like adaptive performance. So while we're talking here at SDC, okay, that's a Samsung developer event, you're bound to be here, aren't you? We'll come out to your event if you want it, yeah? We'll go around the world and we'll educate the folks that need that help. And we will genuinely travel out and do on-site support. We'll do a lot of close collaboration under NDA, under the kind of circumstances that you need us to work in, where maybe your code is highly secretive, highly well protected. So we'll go out there with you and do what needs to be done. And we do it with a lot of partners. There's a long list of names here. We could probably double this or triple this without too much trouble, but all the big names are on here. Lots and lots of games developers that we care about, we work with very closely, and we're proud of that relationship. At no time do we damage that relationship. We always respect their content, we respect their privacy, and we respect their targets. We're really trying to deliver stuff that gets the gaming experience as good as possible. And I think we do a great job with these folks. So I'm proud to say the Galaxy GameDev group is a strong group, really big investment from Samsung. Jungwoo's investment in it personally is really serious. There's a total commitment to making sure that you guys get the best that you can possibly have. And speaking of the best you can possibly have, Seunghwan, yep. Why don't you take us through some of the work that you've done recently with games developers?
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Richard, for a presentation about optimization solution and game dev program. Okay, I'm Seunghwan Lee from Samsung Electronics. I'm a member of Galaxy GameDev, and I'm doing optimizing game engine and Vulkan graphics renderer. So at this section, I will tell you about partner practice. It is a recent update from the GameDev team. So we did many things with many game studios and game engine companies. So I will tell you briefly what we did with them. So for more detailed information about Vulkan optimization techniques, we also have another session tomorrow titled Vulkanized. Please join this session as well. So, okay, let's get started. The first game is Fortnite Mobile. To optimize this game, we have collaborated for a long time with many engineers. We also had several camps with the Epic Games Korea and Epic Games HQ in North Carolina. This game is important for us because our optimization code is integrated into that game branch, that will be official code for Unreal Engine. So many other games can get benefit from that. So during the collaboration, we optimized many things about memory and hitching. And those optimizations are integrated into Unreal 4.21 version. So actually, FreeCAD performance and stability are getting better from that version. So as a result, originally FPS was 49, but now it showed 53 on .9. So then let's take a look at creating pipelines. Yeah, that is about pipeline creation. So mobile CPU has big core and little core. So when creating pipelines, the CPU was working on CPU number 1 and 3 in this game. Those are little core. So changing CPU affinity to big core for creating pipelines is helpful in this case. Yeah. So for the Fortnite, it creates pipelines more than 4,000 and at first run. So as a test result, creation time reduced by 50%, and also total loading time is decreased. Also, it would be helpful during the game in real time. A lot of hitching has gone with this. Okay, so then let's take a look at query management. Yeah, as you know, occlusion query is using to avoid drawing hidden objects. But there was a problem with the original global query management. Like the upper picture, it uses a big global query pool. In some cases, query results are not needed, so some objects do not get query results and do not reset the pool. That caused a fragmentation problem in the global query pool. So to avoid the fragmentation, first it needs to use multiple queries. Fortunately, FreeCAD can support, FreeCAD can get multiple query results at once. And the second, Android graphics frameworks has 3 surfaces. The query result before the 3 frames are not needed, so we can ignore it. So we allocated query pools just for dedicated 3 frames, and not for global pools. So we tested with the sample app. Before then, like upper picture, getting query result was called 30 times in 1 frame, and it took about 10 milliseconds. But now it calls only 1 time per frame, and it takes 1 millisecond. With this optimization, FPS is improved by 30%. Yeah, that is all about our optimized query management. Okay, next. The next game is 100 Soul from Hound 13. It is 3D action RPG game, and we also had several camps for several months. First, we optimized the render path load action and optimized to allocate the buffer by paging logic and improved the shader mode caching logic. Okay, then let's take a look at render path load store optimization. So when you start render path, you can decide how to handle the result of previous render path. If there is a load option, render target copy action will occur inside the GPU. But in the post-processing case, it uses texture as input, so previous render path result is not required. So therefore, we change the load option to don't care. With this, it will prevent any pixel loading inside the GPU when it begins render path. This optimization reduced GPU usage by 8%. Yeah, and next game is PUBG. It's a famous Battle Royale game. We optimized updating Descriptorset logic, and we optimized occlusion query logic like before case, and we enabled the LHI thread to optimize the CPU side, and also optimized the Bloom to reduce GPU usage. So as a result, we got 30% improvements. So let's take a look at updated Descriptorset. As you know, FreeCAD Descriptorset has texture buffer, view information, and it needs to update per every draw call. Like the right button picture, there are 500 draw calls and 500 updates Descriptorset API calls just in one frame. And updating API calls took about 25 milliseconds. It took longer than draw index call. So we can optimize this with the caching logic, make hashing key with the object handle, and cache descriptor set with that hashing key. After that, it doesn't need to update again. You can descriptor set from the cache and just bind and draw. Yeah, and there's the important thing when caching descriptor set. If we want to draw at different position, the uniform buffer must be updated even if you use the same descriptor set. Fortunately, Freecon supports dynamic offset. So when bind the descriptor set, just change the buffer offset. Then you can update uniform data with that. Yeah, so again, you can cache descriptor set using object handle and use dynamic offset to update uniform data. So when we check the performance with the sample app, updated descriptor set API is called only one time per frame, and FPS is improved by 26%. Okay, the next game is Royale. It is a high-end MMORPG game. So to optimize this, we rearranged the rendering order and optimized the render path, load store operation like a before case. And when render target doesn't need to be changed, we merged some render passes. So finally, we got huge improvements. So let's take a look at rendering order. As you know, it doesn't need to draw objects that hiding on the final render screen. So draw from the front screen in order, then hiding objects will not be drawn by depth testing. So with this, you can reduce GPU usage. But original Unreal Engine use draw visual front to back API to sort objects. But that function didn't fit with this game, so we changed some logic. We tried to sort using z-depth and vertex counts, so we proved it to draw from the front screen in order. The right upper picture is before the fix. The bright objects means it overdrew several times, and bottom picture is after the fix. With this optimization, performance is improved by 2 FPS, and when I limit the frame rate by 30 FPS, then GPU usage decreased by 5%. Yeah, next game is Call of Duty Mobile. It is famous FPS from Activision. We collaborated with the Tencent team studio. First, we implemented the destroy thread that handle releasing resources like garbage collection. And second, we optimize descriptor set batching and caching logic, like before case. And we implemented the Freecon queue present thread to work separately with the render thread. And we optimized binding logic for vertex and index buffer. So let's take a look at thread present. Usually in Freecon multi-thread rendering, first need to submit the Freecon command and call queue present and wait. It is for synchronization between frames, but we don't really need this waiting. So we put the queue present job in a separated thread, so render thread doesn't stand by at this time. Okay. Then let's take a look at binding optimization. So Freecon uses the concept of command buffer, which must bind before using. So if the previous draw and the current draw use the same vertex and index buffer, you don't have to bind again because the command buffer is already bound. So in real games, the same vertex and index are often used to draw adjoining areas. So removing these redundant bindings can effectively reduce GPU utilization and improve frame rate. Okay, yeah. And, okay, sorry. So if you'd like more detailed optimization techniques for VCAD, we have another session tomorrow, so please join this session too. And I'd like to let you know some blog. This is Epic Games News about Unreal Engine. It introduces our collaboration between Epic Games and Samsung. Okay, and this is Fortnite News, also introducing our collaboration. Like this, yeah, like this we are doing real things. Okay. Okay, now Jungwoo will wrap up this session. Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah, the main purpose of this overview for the GameDev session is we want to share, we are doing a bunch of things, and not just for Vulkan, but also the other things like driver update, improve product portability, and also on-site collaboration to support the developer. Because most of the game developer has confidential situation for they secure their content before launching. So there's no other way to support them in remote way. So most of cases, we locating their office, and we call that as kind of the camp, the GameDev camp or something, and we deliver our people to the multiple times for each of the project by project, and we support that. So in fact, most of the GameDev engineers really hate traveling. They're getting more hater than before. Every project is going on, then their hatred is increasing. So, but I try to empathize them to bring that hatred is make energy to push themselves to getting better yes outcome. But anyway, yes. So, and also the tool thing. The tool is one of the pain points that the mobile game developer really hard to dealing with. So, and also there's many critical issues with the connection, install, and rooting devices. So we try to deliver that GPU watch on-device embedded tool. And also it's not just a kind of performance statistic information, but also render path and render stage graph, including the overlay. We are now preparing to give you a store the log and import and export is capable. That will come soon. And at this moment, we started to ship the GPU one the first time from the Note 9, but you know that you cannot see that in the developer option now because there's kind of a special gesture needed. In developer option, there you can see the force GPU rendering. You can 7 times toggle that, then came up. So then you can use that. Why we did that? Because we have a lack of resources, so we are really struggling with some feedback or something. So we just allow to our partner, key partner NDA developer to use that. But we have a plan for the next year, early next year, that our flagship will come, and then our plan is just open public. The given developer option is setting menu. So, and also we keep to continue to make practices because practice is the most valuable thing to convince developer to jump into that technology using for the game development. So we really hope to make that happen. So for the Vulkan, other optimization for the rendering and the optimizing contents guidance, and also the adaptive performance, like a new game engine feature, interacting with the game device feature like Game SDK. We try to make more practices and share more evidence to show developer this is a really good thing. That is something we are really aiming for with the Galaxy GameDev. And also at the same time, we try to help scaling these good things widely with the game engine companies and also the Google. So about the game driver is totally that is coming really tight collaboration with the Google. And also the ARM and Qualcomm, the GPU vendor is now trying to support that fully. And every findings we made during our partnership with the Vulkan contribution for customizing the game engine is not just for the customizing. That is for also the trying to find out the common good implementation changes for supporting and contributing to that most of the common game engine people is really popular, familiar with, like UE4 and also Unity. That is something we want to share for this session, and also we will come back with more things and in next year GDC. But anyway, the SCC is not finished yet, and hope you guys in contact with the Code Lab and also the booth table in the besides of the session room. And we also have a bunch of more sessions. We still have the one more GameDev session about the Vulkanized. We will share, our speakers will share more about some real case studies for the Vulkan changes. And also, we already did that L emoji SDK in early of this year's sessions, and also, but anyway, we also have more things like Game Booster and also game performance indexing tomorrow. And those 3 sessions also will be some good news about the Lucky Draw will keep continuing. Okay, that is about the Galaxy GameDev update and also the former contribution we made. And please contact with us if you have any support, and you can just contact with the GameDev at Samsung.com. And also, there's a kind of a landing page for this GameDev, developer.samsung.com/game. And finally, Lucky Draw time. Oh, 72. 72. Cool. Can you show me? Oh, I believe you, but
I'm surprised.
cool.
Thanks.
Thank you all, and hope you enjoy the rest of the SCC. Thank you.